Everyone wants to know how to scale a company to millions of dollars, right? Today, I want to show you exactly how we scaled a company from $1.5 million to $5.3 million in just 6 months. This was one of the first companies that I helped to really scale super fast. And I learned a lot of lessons that have stuck with me to this day that I want to pass on to you so you can apply them to your business and have greater results and greater.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Legacy Builders with Bryan Dulaney. Everybody dreams of having $1 million or $10 million company. Today we're going to talk about how Bryan and his team helped scale a company from 1.5 million to 5.3 million in just 6 months. And we're going to pull out some lessons that we think you can apply to your business as well. So first off, as we start, Bryan, give us some context for this story and this business that you helped go from 1.5 to 5.3 million in just 6 months.
Yeah, so I love this story. There's a lot of lessons in it that pretty much any business can apply. When I was in Hawaii back in 2012, I had to pivot, right? I had to pivot because I had an SEO blog network of 1,000 websites that got basically shut down because Google changed their algorithms. I was in Hawaii. God gave me the vision of creating the perfect funnel system, and then breaking that down and teaching people, that step-by-step process to help people understand, how do we capture leads, how do we convert sales, and how do we create a community of raving fans. After I came back from Hawaii, I was in a mastermind that I was in. Everyone had the opportunity to speak and share about what they did. And one of the things I talked about was the 7 steps of a perfect funnel system. Now, I remember, meeting everybody at the time, but there's one particular gentleman who I ended up helping later and create the story. Didn't, really ask for our services, didn't set up a time to consult, like none of that. He just met me. It wasn't until like a month or two later, I was at another event and he ran into me again and said, "Hey, ever since I heard you talking about the perfect funnel system at the mastermind, I've been thinking I need to, have you come in. Would you be open to flying over to Orlando? That's where their offices are, and consult in our business, help us, take this thing to the next level." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So they flew me out to Orlando, put me up in an amazing place there inside the gates of Disney, absolutely epic. And we sat down, we did some whiteboard sessions, which I love. And I asked them about 13 questions. I've got, a core set of questions that I like to ask. I could pretty much ask any business to find holes. And maybe we should do an episode on that, Seth. We should maybe explore that option. But I asked them very specific questions, and quickly I was able to find, like, man, you guys are leaving a ton of money on the table. And the reality is, these guys, they didn't come from a line of family of entrepreneurs. They didn't have that, in their background. They started the business, and most of their lives they were, working for someone else, whether it be sales or whether it be as an employee in their operations. So I came in real quickly within a matter of hours, asking the right questions. I was able to see, like, man, you guys are leaving millions of dollars on the table. And so after that, the owner of the company, his name is Rick. Rick said, "Hey, I'd love to bring you on. I'd love to make you a partner. I'd love to, give you equity. I'd love to allow you to help us, take our brand to the next level." At the time, this was back in 2013. So going on nearly almost 10 years now. And I'm going to share a few things, a few of the big lessons that really moved the needle, because they went from 1.5 million a year to 5.3 million in 6 months. And they grew a little faster than they wanted to, right? They had to, bring in new staff. They needed to let go of some of their staff that were slackers, and they were comfortable at 1.5. Let's put it that way. They were comfortable at 1.5. They were super pumped at 1.5. Life had been dramatically different at 1.5 for them. But 5.3 is a whole nother animal. That's a whole, in 6 months, I mean, making those pivots and bringing on that increase, is really almost like a whole different business. And so one of the very first things I spotted was that their response times were 4 hours to book a quote for a vacation. Okay, average time 4 hours. Sometimes it'd be 6 or 8. And when I broke down the system of what was going on there, is that they were sending their leads over to someone over in India. And then that person in India would then have to go check the United States-based system to look at the resort inside the gates of Disney in Orlando to see if they had any availability. Now, think about it. You're looking for a vacation. You're probably not going to wait around 4, 5, 6, or 8 hours to get a response back from a company if you can book a vacation. I don't know about you, but when I'm looking to go on vacation, I've got some things in mind. I'm looking at the vacation. I'm booking my vacations when I see it. I'm booking it, and then I'm done with that situation, right? So right away, I installed live chat. Live chat is a phenomenal platform because it makes your site come to life. Really shows that you have people behind your company, that support your brand, and you can get absolutely faster response time. So we literally went from average 4-hour response time down to less than 4 minutes. And I brought my dad in. My dad actually came in, started help. I brought him in to help the company grow. I brought my brother in, he helped us during that time to grow as well. And then I brought my team to the table. And so that was one of the things. It was like, we need response time. We need to respond as fast as humanly possible. If someone lands on our website or they call us, we need to be talking to them, right? That was another thing we added. We added a phone line, right? Simple things, right? Simple things, right? Small hinges move big doors, right? Well, it's the same situation here in this example. Now, the other thing we did is they had access to like over 50 different resort locations across the country and really places to go on vacation outside of the country. And so we built out new full-on new websites, new funnels. So a website and a funnel that was very, designed for conversion, right? When someone lands there, I want to remarket to them. Okay. So I'm setting the pixel, whether that was, Google Pixel or adroll.com pixel. We used both at the time. And, reality is if they land on that website, that means they clicked an ad, got to your website. You should be following them around as long as possible. If you haven't noticed that about our business, just go to perfectfunnelsystem.com or bryandulaney.com and you'll see, right, for the next 6 months, you'll be followed around the internet with images of me talking about hiring the best of the best, talking about hiring our team to help you, right? All of that is intentional, right? Because reality is when people click an ad over to a website, they're not convinced yet that you're the right solution for them. In this case, it happens to be a vacation, booking their vacations, right? So what did we do? Well, we added live chat that significantly increased the response times. We added someone to a phone. So when they called that phone, they got an answer. They didn't have to go to a voicemail. They didn't have to wait, right? My biggest thing was urgency on time. Because if someone wasn't booking with us, they're going to go book with someone else. And so I wanted to mitigate as much loss as possible, right? We added remarketing. We advertised through Google primarily through Google ads for people that are searching for those resorts at those locations across the country. We improved the user experience of the funnels by adding different elements to the funnels, making sure the funnels load fast, making sure there's social proof and there's testimonials and all of the things that make up for good conversion, right? So we added those type of things into the funnel, right? And then that's pretty much all we did. I mean, we just think about it. We added a new website per location, and then we started scaling ads for across Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and then we did remarketing. That was primarily how we grew from 1.5 to 5.3 million. Was just that. But one of the things that we became really intimate with was that we had some people that were in the company that were brought in the early days and just given a job because the business was exploding. And so there was people there that were on the bus that really shouldn't have been there anymore. They were people that were lazy. There were people that had poor work ethic. And that had to go. My vision for the company was to make it $100 million a year company, right? So even going from 1.5 to 5.3 was great, but it was like we're just scratching the surface here, right? And we ended up going in a different direction, in our business, and they went in their business, and they were happy with 1.5. They were happy with doubling and just doing $3 million a year, let alone doing 5.3 or doing 10, right? But we spent probably a good 6 months really dialing in and optimizing the funnels, the ads, the copy, right? So the lesson there is, when you launch something, right, don't think it's going to take you 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks. You might need to spend 6 months optimizing that funnel, optimizing it on different ad platforms, optimizing the copy, optimizing the images, optimizing the whole entire thing. So yeah, we spent a while, optimizing that. And then when we got to the place where we're like, okay, 6 months, like this thing is taking off like a rocket, we had to keep hiring, as many people as we could. There was a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes. But it was an absolutely awesome, case study that came from speaking in a mastermind and sharing my expertise on what it takes to, capture leads, convert sales, and create a community of raving fans.
Right. And the interesting thing about this story is they had the offer.
Yep.
Like they didn't necessarily change what they were offering. It was really just optimizing what was already in front of them. And so that makes me wonder how many businesses they might be doing 1.5 a year, but they are sitting on 5 million a year, 10 million a year if they just optimized like what they had in front of them.
It's true. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I see it all the time because I consult a lot of businesses. That are already in business, that are already, running traffic and selling stuff, right? It's like, it's endless, right? What I recommend is hire consultants, like me or like others to give you a different, fresh perspective, right? If you're not getting a fresh perspective from outside people, you're probably not seeing everything that's possible on how you can grow your business. I think it's smart to hire. Like, think about it. If you were flush with cash and you had, let's call it a $10 million a year company, and you have more than enough coming in, and you're feeding all your people really well, and you're getting people results, you're probably, if you want to go to the next level, which is like 50 million or 100 million, you're probably going to bring in some consultants to help you see your blind spots, right? And you're probably not going to just bring in one. You're probably going to bring in several, right? So that's how we think at the higher levels. At higher levels, we think, okay, let's bring in a couple different perspectives, and let's apply this perspective and apply that perspective and see what works, see what sticks, and see what doesn't. Right? That's a winning mindset, is to think that way, rather than I'm gonna try to do it all myself, or I'm just gonna rely on this one consultant. Right? Bring in as many as you can, as many as you can handle with whatever budget you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. As we kind of bring this one to a close, I'd love to hear your advice to our listeners on, maybe if they're looking at their business and they're thinking like, okay, our offer, like we have a good offer. We have like, the sales process is working pretty well, but they're thinking, what areas should we be looking at that maybe we just need to make some tweaks, like to operations and to, on the internal side, like what areas should our audience be looking at in their business that might be able to take what they're already doing and double or triple it?
Yeah. So I think you can look at traffic sources, right? Like that's one of the quick ones, right? With these guys, they were advertising on Google, but they weren't doing remarketing, and they weren't doing, any Yahoo or Bing ads. So we came in and we added in, other search engines, being that they're a lot lower traffic search, but they're still search, right? There's still buyers there. So we added in traffic sources. The other thing would be to dial in, that conversation, right? That's one of the things that we did, is said, okay, what's the conversation that people are having on the phone with people who are trying to book a vacation, right? It's not just a winged, throw mud up against the wall kind of conversation, right? You want to have a skilled, scripted conversation that doesn't feel scripted, right? Like you want a conversation that doesn't feel like it's scripted, right? But we improved that, and that also attributes to why they were able to go from 1.5 to 5.3 in such a short period of time. For them, it was like light speed. It was like that was super fast. Other people, that might be slow. For them, it was fast and it was aggressive. So I think you should be looking at a lot of different factors in terms of what you should be doing if you're already doing well and you're looking to scale. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can look at. Traffic, that's bringing more people to the table. You could be focused on increasing the number of people that once they hit your website or funnel, what's the percentage of people that are actually converting? And then, once you actually talk to someone on the phone, what's the percentage of people that are actually booking that vacation, or what's the number of people that are actually buying what you have to sell? Right. Do you have a high, and consistent close ratio of people moving into whatever it is you're selling? And I would say, like with our line of thinking, like with my wife, she's converting about 80% of the people she talks into something. Now, they might not go into the agency. They might go into, okay, go through this challenge, or watch this webinar, or buy a copy of Bryan's book, or grab a free golden ticket. Right? But having some place for them to go. They're not on the call with you for no, they're not joining a call for nothing. Right? So if your close ratios aren't at 80% of moving your leads into something, then I would say you have some room for improvement there. And that's typically one of the fast ways to boost cash flow, is to dial in your sales conversations with people that are actually answering the phone calls.
Right.
Because think about it. If you have 10 people answering phone calls and they're converting 10% of the people they talk to into something, imagine if they're converting at 50% or 60% or 80% in my wife's example. Right. I mean, that alone, even if you go from 10 to 20, is double. You could double your business.
Right.
So again, it's these little levers that really move big doors and make big impact.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many business owners that listen to this show where you're probably doing well. Like, you might be doing a couple million a year.
Yep.
And you might kind of be coasting and be okay with where you're at. I'd encourage them, hire a consultant to come in and say, okay, cool. You're doing well. You're enjoying it. You're making good money. You're serving your people well. But are there ways that 2 million a year could be 4 million a year?
Yeah. Well, and what I'd recommend, Seth, is I say, go hire 3 consultants, get 3 different perspectives, and then go. And then if there's deeper levels of service for the consultants, then either test them all or choose the one that you're the most confident in and you have the most confidence with.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably my best advice, because the reality is, when you're in the picture, you can't see it. You can't see the picture. You're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's where a lot of business owners are. They're in their own situation. They can't see what they can't see. Right? That's why it's so helpful to get outside consulting. And sometimes your best consultants can come from within your organization, right? Even start there. Start asking the people that are working for you, that are in your organization, on areas that you can make improvements, right? Some of your best consultants can come from within your organization, right? So don't overlook them, but do seek, strategic advice from people that, have gotten to where you want to go, right? If you haven't built a $10 million a year business or a $50 million a year business and you want to get there, find people that have gotten to that place consistently and repeatedly, because they're going to have some insight for you that you've never heard or you've never seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is such a good story, an example of a company that was doing pretty well, but didn't realize, like, wow, we can turn our 1.5 into 5.3 and that change can happen in just a few months. And so re-listen to this story. If you're listening to this, re-listen to this to listen to some of the areas that Bryan and his team were able to go in and kind of optimize. Like we said, be willing to hire a consultant to come in and help you understand how you can take what you already have and really take it to that next level. Bryan, any last words of encouragement to our audience on this one?
I would say, put yourself out there, right? Join masterminds. You just never know where you're going to get business, from a getting clients perspective, right? If I would have never paid to join that mastermind, I would have never had that opportunity to get in front of Rick, that business owner, right? And if I would have never got in front of him, think about it, I would have never made that impact. I would have never helped him to be able to grow his company to 5.3 million a year. I would have never been able to impact all the families that impacted. But it first started with me putting myself out there, getting uncomfortable, cutting a check, which was uncomfortable to cut. But hindsight is 2020, right? Looking back, it's like, man, that was the best investment I made. But going into it, you have no idea if it's going to reap a harvest. I would encourage you to adopt the mindset that what you invest in will reproduce a harvest. It might not happen tomorrow, but it'll happen at some point, right? Because in my story here with this guy, I mean, I went to the mastermind. It wasn't for a month or two later that I saw him at another event that he said, oh, hey man, I loved your speech at the mastermind. Let's talk, right? So put yourself out there, join groups of people that are moving and shaking and making things happen, because that's where deals are going to happen, right? Especially if you're in a service business like we are as an agency, right? It makes sense to join communities and really, serve those communities. I mean, that's what I was doing, right? I joined a mastermind. I shared my proprietary process and framework, my system, and that was just one example of one client I got out. I got other business out of it as well. So, put yourself out there, take a risk, lean on outside perspective, because that's what I have found over the last nearly 17 years of doing this, is that that's what it takes. It takes some outside perspective or influence to give you just one idea. And then that one idea applied, really important part of the equation, that one idea applied, it can allow you to grow it and take it to the next level. And that's, kudos to Rick, really, because he realized even after I consulted with him and mapped out, okay, here's the plan to take this thing to the next level. He said, I can't do this without you. I can't do this on my own. So then that's when he partnered with us, brought us on as equity partners, and we became, invested in the company to really be incentivized to grow the brand. Oh, and that's another really important point. If you don't have people on your team that are invested in growing your brand, they're probably not going to stay up weekends and nights thinking about growing it. So find people, find agencies, find people in general that have some skin in the game. What I found is, and that's primarily how we work, is with skin in the game, some type of incentive. When we crush it, we all win, right? People that perform typically aren't going to be satisfied with a fee, okay, alone. Some are going to require a fee and a percentage like we do. Some will just take a percentage. Some will just do fees. I would say watch out for the people that just do fees, because outside of that fee, they're not going to work hard, because there's no skin in the game for them. There's no incentive for them. In this case, the story today, we had 10% of equity. We had 10% of gross revenue, right? So when we're making 5.3 million a year, we're seeing 500,000 of that revenue. Okay, so put yourself in a position to align yourself with people that are in the performance game. Okay. A mistake that a lot of people make is they hire, agencies or people that are fee only, right? And they think that, okay, I'm going to pay this person their fee and that's all I got to pay them. You're really shooting yourself in the foot, because those type of people don't spend extra time, late nights, weekends, thinking about your success. They're thinking about their own success. And if they have a ceiling, then they're not going to likely spend that time thinking about you and your business. So that's my advice there for that.
Yeah, that's great. And you want people that aren't just going to hit their time that they invested for their fee and then okay, cool, we're good for the month. You want them to be doing everything they can and be incentivized to see you be as successful as you can. There's so many good lessons in this episode. I think this is such a good story. And these lessons really translate to, I think, anywhere where any business where our legacy builders are applying themselves currently. So Bryan, thanks so much for sharing to our audience. Share this episode with somebody that you know that's coming to mind, another business owner. I think they would like it. And make sure to join us next week on Legacy Builders.
Thank you for joining me on Legacy Builders. And I would encourage you to come back to the next episode next week to get more clarity on your journey to launch your expertise online, scale your impact, and build your legacy. If you're ready to get the process started of launching your expertise online the right way, then I recommend go to launchexpertise.com, or maybe you're at a place where you're ready to really scale your expertise and your impact. Go to launchexpertise.com. There you'll have several options. Number one, you can get a free copy of my brand new book, The Entrepreneur Evangelist, which I share the secrets that have unlocked more than $300 million of results for my clients, my partners, and our own campaigns. You could also join a 33 days of coaching with me that's free. where I give you insights and wisdom on your journey to launching your expertise and scaling your impact over the course of 33 days. And that's worth at least $5,000, but for right now, you can get it for free. And lastly, if you're someone who wants to take the absolute faster, smarter path when it comes to launching your expertise online and scaling your impact, I'd recommend scheduling a call with my team where we can see how we can support you to crush goals and generate 7 or 8 figures yourself in a short period of time. We have more awards than nearly anyone in the entire community, and for good reason. And we would love to help you just like we've helped them. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Legacy Builders.